Isla Titan, a place abandoned by humans. But the island is not empty. This year, our researchers were the first camera team ever to venture onto this island with the help of drones, and the results are spectacular images. All facts in this series are fictional or based on the game. Not far from our usual starting point, just as filming began, two young Tyrannosaurus were in close contact with a Sarcosuchus. The Sarcosuchus, being a fast and agile swimmer, doesn't have much to worry about as long as it stays in the water. Contrary to many expectations, the Tyrannosaurus isn't a bad swimmer. Two Utahs who found a carcass just a little further away are our main protagonists today. The lighter, almost white Utah was dubbed Winter Storm by the team, and the darker one with the blue markings on its head was given the name Sickle. Utah raptors, on the other hand, always hunt most dinosaurs in groups consisting of family bonds. They show no consideration for raptors of the same species, let alone those of other raptor species. Any troublemakers are immediately driven away. Although Utah raptors do not claim territory, they defend their surroundings mercilessly. Their teamwork, made possible by communication via specific sounds, is unbeatable in these situations. For this young Achillobator, rescue is only possible in the undergrowth of the adjacent forest. Since our Utah raptors actually came to this watering hole to drink, they will not maintain the chase. The last member of this rather small pack, a female named Blaze, has now also gathered. Not far from the watering hole, two Tyrannotitans are crossing the river. In their search for prey, they could also pose a threat to the Utah raptors. But Utah raptors are masters of communication. A simple warning call is enough to set the group in motion. Utah raptors have unusually sharp senses. They have a keen sense of hearing that allows them to easily hunt even from a distance of around 500 meters. They also have 8 to 10 times more photoreceptors per square millimeter than humans, resulting in significantly sharper vision. Their eyes have a mechanism that magnifies prey like binoculars. Utah raptors can see prey from a distance of over 3 kilometers. And this inexperienced Pachycephalosaurus walked right into the trap. The group had already noticed him and fed on the victim before he had a chance to understand his fate. And although the Pachy is a fast and agile opponent at 34 miles per hour, 55 kilometers per hour, it is difficult to hold his own against multiple attackers. Nevertheless, this brave male faced the 3 pursuers and paid with his life. But so, the circle of life closes. The Utah raptor's claw measured 9 to 10 inches, or 23 to 25 centimeters, which is a considerable size and thus makes it a threatening weapon. The Utah raptor's rather underdeveloped wings were more suited to cushioning jumps than gaining real height. Nevertheless, they made these raptors incredibly agile. A Sarcosuchus and 2 Anodontosaurs also found food. And while the 2 Tyrannotitans came up empty-handed, our group is already on the lookout for their next prey. Meanwhile, the Anodontosaurs are practicing using their clubs. We suspect that the 2 are perhaps not very old and have little experience in fighting. A young Amargasaurus approaches our group, but it is lucky in its misfortune. The Utah raptors are more focused on the Platyhystrix, which is trying to bite the Amargasaurus. And while the Anodontosaurs continue to practice fighting, the Utah raptors seem to be on the move. In search of prey, predators often travel for days, unless they are confined to a territory. Utah raptor was moderately fast, likely not a long-distance runner, but a powerful sprinter for ambushes, with an estimated speed of 25 to 30 miles per hour or 40 to 48 kilometers per hour. It was a muscular, agile predator that relied on bursts of speed for short-range chases rather than endurance, and its short, stocky legs were better suited for powerful bursts of speed and strength for taking down large prey. Like this young Tyrannosaurus, the group is already hunting before the young Tyrannosaurus notices a thing. These agile hunters move almost silently through the undergrowth. On hunts like this, it is vital that everyone is coordinated because, to be silent, you cannot communicate with each other. The young Tyrannosaurus has no idea his misfortune, and with a well-timed leap, Seychelles begins the fight. The Tyrannosaurus's cry immediately sets the rest of the group in motion. But the Tyrannosaurus is not an easy opponent, even at this age. The bite of a fully grown Tyrannosaurus was estimated to be between 8,000 and nearly 13,000 pounds, or approximately 3,500 to 5,800 kilograms. This immense force was strong enough to crush bones and was more powerful than any modern land animal, equivalent to an elephant sitting on the ground. The immense pressure, especially at the tip of its teeth, was capable of piercing through the thickest bones. A hit with this bite force would be fatal for anyone in the pack, which makes it all the worse that this young tyrannosaur seems to be no newcomer to combat. The group only narrowly escapes being killed. And so Seychelles decides to call the pack back and call off the hunt. After all, one dead member is worse than a botched hunt. The young T-Rex, who actually wanted to escape, gets into another verbal argument with the raptors. But neither of them wants the conflict to escalate any further. So, the fight ends up being empty threats. Utah raptors are very flexible hunters because they only need 5 to 7 hours of sleep a day, which they get in multiple short periods throughout the day and night. While they can enter a light, slow-wave sleep while standing, they must lie down to achieve deep REM sleep. A key component of healthy sleep is getting enough REM sleep, at least 30 minutes to 1 hour per day, which is necessary for muscle and brain regeneration. And as I already said, the raptor's wings are a wonderful aid for building up speed or overcoming obstacles. Raptors are practically invincible by this definition. When looking for a good hunting opportunity, they pause briefly to take a drink. Then they enter a wide, grassy area. Not exactly the best area for an ambush, but the bushes and the adjacent forest are perfect for at least sneaking up on. But the three of them didn't escape this Carnomutter. The Carnotaurus is also not an easy opponent. The group should think twice about this fight. At a good 30 to 35 miles per hour, or 48 to 56 kilometers per hour, the Carnotaurus is faster, although less agile than the raptors, making it one of the fastest non-avian dinosaurs. But even though both groups had each other in their sights, the Carnotaurus left the field. An Apatosaurus mother and her young are at the river when our group arrives. And although the group only wants to quench their thirst, the mother is extremely aggressive. Definitely a reason to retreat. In the worst-case scenario, one unfortunate step could cost our Utah raptors their lives. With an average length of 21 to 23 meters, 69 to 75 feet, and an average mass of 16.4 to 22.4 tons, the Apatosaurus is one of the heaviest and largest dinosaurs on this island. A threat should not be taken lightly. But the Utah raptors have already chosen other, easier prey. A single Torvosaurus. It is very rare for these carnivores to be alone. While they hunt more in pairs than in groups, they also live in family groups. The Utah raptors once again sneak up on their prey in the old-fashioned way, so the attack is lightning fast. The Torvosaurus, like the Utah raptor, reaches top speeds of 36.55 kilometers or 22.7 miles per hour. Most dinosaurs are long-distance runners, not designed for fast sprints. The Torvo's bite force is around 5,000 kilograms, which could also be fatal if one of the raptors is hit. But here, agility wins out over size and bite force. The Torvo cannot catch the fast and agile predators, and its journey ends that day. And while the group enjoys their meal, others are also hunting. The raptors take one last drink before they rest. A rocky ledge is a fantastic spot for this. Raptors alternate between periods of deep sleep, so no one can ambush them. A little further away, another group of Carnotaurus has gathered. The raptors, once again on the prowl, are particularly cautious this time. Our team noticed two Tyrannotitans with their young and a dead Apatosaurus. At first, we assumed it was the parent we had seen the day before, but in fact, this small family was still alive not far away. The emphasis here is on still. The mother desperately tried to defend her young, but here, once again, agility plays a greater role than sheer strength and weight. And even though these scenes are difficult to watch, they are part of the story. Nature is rarely merciful. Two Edmontosaurus watched the fight. The death of the youngster meant they could pass by unchallenged. An adult Edmontosaurus typically weighed between 4 to 10 metric tons. However, some exceptionally large individuals may have reached weights up to 15.87 metric tons. It's also able to reach speeds of around 50 kilometers per hour, 31 miles per hour, allowing it to outrun the likes of Tyrannosaurus. But the Edmontosaurus, unlike the Tyrannotitan, is a herbivore, and, as long as it doesn't feel threatened, is completely harmless. Meanwhile, a hungry Deinonychus helps itself to the carcass guarded by the Pteranotitans. The top speed of the Deinonychus is around 40 kilometers per hour, but there are also measurements that go up to 56 kilometers per hour. Fast and agile enough to steal a bite. And even though the Deinonychus isn't a Utah raptor, the group tolerates the little thief in their vicinity. He still shouldn't push the boundaries. Dangers lurk here in the water and on land. An inattentive young Suchomimus was surprised by a Carnotaurus. Even though the water is nearby, the young animal panics and bites wildly. The experienced Carnotaurus has an easy time killing the young one. The group of Utah raptors is now on their way again. A dried-up lake lies on their path, in which a young Pacerino is hanging out. This baby was probably separated from its parents, or they were killed. On its own, its chances are slim. Luckily for the little one, the raptors prefer to concentrate on the turtles crawling around on land, while a Barsboldia watches from a distance. While the group is drinking at the waterhole, an Alioramus and a Yutyrannus encounter each other in the lowlands. Despite the fact that the Alioramus, at around 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, is considerably faster than the more powerful Yutyrannus, which can average 20 to 25 kilometers per hour, the Alioramus has to be careful. The Yutyrannus is able to bring it down with just a few of its powerful bites. And so the fast-hunted animal escapes the hunter with a quick sprint through the rocky landscape. A hunt also begins elsewhere. Two daspletosaurs spot two pachycephalosaurs and attack without further ado. The pachycephalosaur is not to be underestimated. With its skull consisting of a thick, bony dome up to 25 centimeters or 10 inches thick that likely acted like a built-in helmet and was composed of bone strong enough to withstand impacts, it was a real threat. Already severely weakened, one of the two daspletosaurs tries to evade the pachycephalosaur's powerful thrusts. But it's already too late, and the Daspletosaurus collapses. And although daspletosaurs don't necessarily grieve, the loss of their companion is profound in many ways. Even the Alioramus, who was watching the spectacle, now goes from being the hunted to being the hunter. With its powerful legs and powerful bite, the agile hunter can pose a threat to the pachycephalosaurs. Meanwhile, a Tyrannoteton is working on the body of the Daspletosaurus. Our camera team has managed to offer us unique insights into these creatures and show us which theories were correct and which turned out to be false. Which animals live in family bonds, which are in partnerships, and which roam alone. And yet, there are still so many mysteries that await investigation. And even if not every story has a happy ending, we want to tell them all. A group of Barsboldia has gathered in a distant grassy landscape, searching for a delicious bush where they can fortify themselves. The oldest and most experienced animal is keeping watch. And while the pachycephalosaurs go to sleep, a Carcharodontosaurus is surprised by a Tyrannoteton at the watering hole, but the Carcharodontosaurus is not alone. And even when two hostile apex carnivores are close to each other, it doesn't always have to escalate into battle. Every fight burns up resources needed for the hunt. Two Eotriceratops are near the dried-up lake, while two mapes are after the pachycephalosaurs. At one point, 5 to 2 tons, the mape is a true lightweight and can reach speeds of up to 20 to 25 miles per hour, 35 to 40 kilometers per hour. Therefore, catching up with a Pachycephalosaurus is not impossible. But pride comes before a fall. The Pachycephalosaurs manage to evade the bites and escape with skillful jumps. In the end, the two mapes underestimate the Pachycephalosaur's striking power and pay the highest price. And so, a new day comes to an end in the realm of the dinosaurs. And I hope to see you again soon.